Hi, I'm Celia Boothman, founder of LTRcoaching, and I'd like to welcome you to the Inspired Triathletes podcast, where I'll be bringing you stories from female triathletes and taking on topics that are important to women in the sport. Okay, hello everybody and welcome to the podcast. It's really great to have you on and thank you for joining me. So today we have Bianca from Fund Her Tri, who has set up this group, Priya, who's one of the group members, Annie, who is also another group member, and Chloe, who is also a group member. So hi everyone.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so we're just gonna talk to Bianca first and ask her a little bit about Fund Her Tri. So what kind of motivated you to set up Fund Her Tri?
Yes, well, it's Fund Her Tri UK. Because actually Fund Her Tri, it's an existing charity in the US, which was how we were inspired to create a spin-off when I heard about it. So I was in Kona last year racing the Ironman World Championships, and I saw Lynn, she's the creator of Fund Her Tri US. She was being interviewed by the Feisty Media, and she spoke about this charity that she created to bring women, first-time women, into triathlon. She said, we raise funds in order to remove some of the barriers that the women face at entry level. Triathlon is expensive. Doesn't matter how you see it. Especially if you don't have any equipment. So she said, we raise funds just to support women who want to do their first ever event, and we pay for the race entry. And when I heard this, I just I want to do exactly this. This is just sounds amazing. So I hunted Lynn all around until she agreed to meet me.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit stalkery on my side, but the outcome has been all good. So we're all friends still. And she was just delighted with us wanting to do a satellite entity in the UK. She provided us all the support, so we are independent entities, but we have the same goal. So so for Her Tri UK, then when I came back from there, I put feelers out to get some of my friends to help me. So I have some experienced triathletes that we did Ironman Barcelona together, that they were joining me in this quest. And women, we are like women, right? So just from idea to execution was 3 weeks. We just
Amazing.
built a website, starting reaching out to people, starting getting donations, and getting our first athletes, that women who were not even thinking about a triathlon, but were approached by us, and recruited, we can help, we can remove some of the barriers, come do one. Annie's laughing because she's one of those that I personally, just brought her into the sport. And to be fair, we never thought that Fund Her Tri was going to be as big as it was. I thought when we started, I was like, okay, if we have 20 women in that will be great in 2023, because we need a lot of donations in order to support that. But the triathlon community has been so generous and amazing. So we have had coaches coming on board. We have had race organizers that said, you guys don't have to pay an actual entry. Women from your group, can be sponsored by us. So we have had donated free entries across a number of events. We have kit donations. So in the end, we have been able to stretch our support much further. And we have supported in 2023 50 women to do their first triathlon. Brilliant. And another 20 women that are part of a mentorship program. These are women who are not first timers. But they're still beginners. They have just done 1 or 2 events. And we want to make sure that they stay in the sport. So we have paired them with an experienced triathlete, female triathlete, just to give them, that kind of guidance and ongoing support so they can stay in the sport. So in total, we have reached, 70, which is beyond our dreams. When I had that coffee with Lynn October 2022.
Yeah, that's amazing in a year to have that many people interested. And it's primarily Olympic and sprint
Yeah.
distance that you work with. Yeah.
Yeah, so anything Olympic is the longest that we do, because obviously we're supporting first timers, although
Yeah.
they are people that start with a 70.3 or Ironman.
Yeah.
Really, people start with the short events. They start at the
Yeah.
grassroots levels, local race, organizer, with the local triathlon, sometimes pool base, so that's kind of like where we want to, that's what we target. So we don't sponsor anything above Olympic. But yeah, like honestly, like some of our women are just going straight for the Olympic, which is impressive.
Yeah, definitely.
But we've been delighted with the how it's going.
Yeah, that's super. Yeah, I think my first triathlon was a super sprint or something like that. It was
Yeah.
tiny. So to go
So
straight to Olympic is quite a big
yeah,
deal, but
so I thought, like, when I think of my first was also a super tiny. It was also a women only triathlon. So it was like 300-meter swim, 8K bike, and a 2K run.
yeah,
And for me, like, I had been doing just running before that. So and I was living in Spain, and because it's so hot in Spain, I was not running in the summer. So somebody said, like, why don't you do this event? And I didn't have a bike. I didn't know at the time how to swim. So I had like the entry was actually super cheap, but I had like all these other costs. And at least in Spain, you don't need a wetsuit, but that would have been
yeah,
another. So I just like, okay, I got the cheapest bike on Decathlon, but I had to fund, swimming lessons. I didn't buy any kit because I was like, I don't even know if I'm gonna like triathlon, so I'm not gonna
yeah,
invest. So I just did the whole thing on my swimsuit.
yeah.
Uh, don't do
Nice.
that.
It's not a good idea.
So, but I just did it because I was like, I'm not gonna like put a lot of money into that. And that was still like a good 300 that when,
Yeah,
once bike and all that stuff. So Fund Her tries to eliminate, just a little bit of that barrier at entry level, just by take
yeah.
care of the entry, and you can just focus on the rest. So.
Yeah, definitely. I think that can be. I was lucky because I already had a bike, but I didn't. I like you. I didn't want to buy special kit because it was like it's my first time. I don't know whether I'm going to like it, but yeah, you feel like a bit of a superhero afterwards. So it
Absolutely.
can be a bit addictive, kind of. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a chat with the athletes that you've brought on and kind of get an idea of how their first triathlon went and how Fund Her Tri supported them and were there any barriers. So first up, I'd like to speak to Annie.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hi, Annie. Okay, so hang on, just moving something around. What triathlon did you do?
So I opted to do the sprint
Okay.
triathlon at Dorney Lake. So the sprint distance is 750 meter swim, 19K bike, 5K run. Yeah, that's what I opted to do.
Okay. And how did it go?
It went well.
Yeah.
26 weeks ago, I learned how to swim. So I started swimming. So the story really is that I only remember attaining my 5 meter badge in primary school or infant school, maybe. And then that's where the swim journey ended for me.
Okay.
And I met Bianca 2022. Yeah, 2022. And just never ever thought about triathlon, never really, because I was new to the running, because running was my primary discipline, never really knew about triathlons, and so had an amazing conversation with Bianca, who's all inspiring. And then I did a run in London with Matthew Moves and then I met another lady who was an experienced triathlete, and then I had another conversation which built on what Bianca has said. And then all of a sudden, these two, I feel conspired, and then I was doing a triathlon.
Nice.
I don't know how it happened. Well, when you
Yeah,
want to learn to do something, I'm the type of person that puts themselves in really uncomfortable spaces to be
yeah,
able to do it. So I wanted to learn to swim. I
yeah.
loved riding my bike, hadn't done it for a long time. I loved running. Why not do a triathlon? So there we go. Dorney Lake, 27th of August, just recently finished,
Amazing.
completed it. And
That's
I don't think I was petrified of the swim, but you know, the whole swim for me was going to be the part of the race that I would really be fearful of, if that's the right choice of word. But it was actually not as dreading as I thought it was. I think a lot of work has gone on into my mind about enjoying. We talk about enjoying it and it's the taking part, but actually just really thinking down and just getting on with it, but actually just not using swimming as for me, I found swimming has been the hardest thing that I've had to do in my 40s.
okay.
And I really didn't want to hate it. So I felt like I
No.
had to invest a lot of love into it. And I think that's
Yeah.
why on the day, I just really, as I stepped into that water, my friends were behind me and they said, you just went in there so confidently. And it was just like, and I felt at ease, you know. And
Mm,
so I feel like it was the best thing that Bianca and Monica encouraged me to do. And Fund Her Try has been an excellent charity, support group, hand holder, advice giver, um, love bucket of people and lots of different things to help
yeah.
support that iconic, because I call it iconic because like I get goosebumps when I think about the fact that I've gone from the 5 meter and now I can swim, not only just swim that distance but actually swim in open water. I'd
Yeah.
never,
That's a
you know,
big
that's
deal.
a massive deal for me, you know.
Mm.
And at every step of the way, even down to last week when I had a little bit of a mini meltdown because I couldn't get into a wetsuit and I was doing all that, and Bianca was like, she's just got all these text messages just saying, it's okay,
Yeah.
don't worry, you know, and having that community behind me has been epic. So thank you, Bianca, for being brave and bold and moving forward and creating this massive charity, which is going to grow and grow and grow because um, I run for Black Girls Do Run, but you know, Tasha said, like, you know, you've even inspired me to swim. Do you know what I mean? Because that's a hurdle that
Mm.
she, you know, and I think that this is what happens. The pebble that dropped that day for you, Bianca, is rippling out, and there's people that are getting caught up in that, and I think it's magic,
Yeah.
absolute magic.
Yeah, I love that you know, Bianca's helped you and then you're now really enthusiastic about it and that will spread to other people and you can you know, your biggest barrier was the swim, is that right? That
Yeah,
was
and
your
I
biggest
think
barrier, and so if you can
that
do
is my
that,
biggest barrier. Yeah,
then you can
we
show
can do
that
hard
other
things, can't
people.
we? We can do
Exactly.
hard things. And I think, you know, really and truly, when I do some research about this, even for today, there's a high percentage, especially of Black and ethnic, who do not swim. Do you see
Yeah.
what I mean? If we're looking at about 95% of Blacks, and then we look at 80% of children, that's phenomenal. Do you see what I
Yeah.
mean? So and then that extends out as well. And I feel that if we can get this momentum and
Yeah.
get women into breaking down the barriers that exist, because I know people who are learning to ride now, that is the barrier for them. Do you see what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think if we can get more athletes into this field, it's absolutely epic. And Fund Her Try is working tirelessly to do that. And so
Mm.
the fact that we have people donating, that has to continue to ensure that this kind of moves forward and goes.
Yeah, for sure. So what was, so with triathlon, what was it about triathlon particularly that you think has been super inspiring? Because you said you were a member of Black Girls Run, is that right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
am. I mean, running, you take up different sports, don't you? People have primary disciplines, whether it's swimming, whether it's cycling, whether it's running.
Yeah.
Um, but I felt that training for what I loved about doing a triathlon is the diversity of the training and the fact that you've got 3 disciplines. Okay.
Yeah.
When I'm training for running or ultra running, you're running and you're running and you're running. But
Yeah.
with the fact, okay, you can put your cycling because they all contribute. But I just
Yeah.
loved the challenge of being able to train on my bike, being able to run, being able to swim. And I think that's what I really enjoyed, because obviously you have to put the work in. You know,
Yeah.
I'm swimming 3 to 4 times a week. I'm cycling, I'm running, but it's variety. You know, they say variety is the spice of life.
Yeah.
But I felt like that was the thing that really excited me about training for a triathlon, is the fact of the variety of it, and that I didn't feel that I was always solely doing one thing. You know,
Yeah.
I felt like that was.
And then you have to put it together at the end as well, don't you? So you have to kind of like figure out, okay, I've got to go from swim to bike, and there's all that kind of thing
But then I
involved
put
as
that in
well, isn't it?
my training. So you do brick
Oh,
runs, you
good.
know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah, yeah.
you do the bike, you do the bike.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Which
definitely.
actually gave me, I think going forward next time, what I found the trickiest, because my transition time was the swim to the bike. There was trying to get off the wet
Yeah.
too, and it was
Yeah, that's worth
slightly longer.
practicing as
And
well.
then when I got out of the water, I was like, oh, you know, you go from that to that. I did feel a
Yeah.
little bit. But that's all learning points and learning curves that I'll take
Yeah.
into my next triathlon, Bianca.
Yeah. So you're going to do another one. That's
Of
success, isn't it?
course,
Definitely.
yeah.
That's
If
amazing.
I can add something, Celia, before we
Yeah,
move
of
on,
course.
ladies, you know, one of the things that we do in Fund Her Try UK that's definitely unique to us. So we have a community as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, all the ladies who want to join, we have a WhatsApp group, and that has been like such an incredible source of support from them between each other.
Yeah.
You know, like they just chat about their fears, their questions, you know, and they're all able to just support each other. Like one of the ladies she just did this list, you know, for everything that she needed on the day and how she would organize it. And like, even I'm using that list and I'm an experienced.
Yeah.
So like we're all just,
Yeah,
and the group is just really, really nice. So sometimes people are just very quiet there, but you see the information and you see what everybody's going on. So so obviously this, when I started, like there was none of that, you know, I was just like by myself and triathlon. You know, like these girls are starting like in a little bit of a cocoon, you know,
Yeah, for sure. It's really nice. And I think this happens when you get a group of women together. The community is always so supportive. That's what I found in, you know, the triathlon. And it isn't easy when you're getting into it, because if you go to a local club, then the majority of people are usually men in that club. So it's nice to have that support network with you where you can go to when, you know, some of my clients sometimes get advice, well-meaning advice, which isn't very supportive sometimes. So, and I think women are really good at lifting each other up and helping each other, you know, with our insecurities and fears and our lack of confidence that we sometimes have, and we can help to inspire each other rather than kind of like knocking each other down or anything like that. So I think that's amazing that you've got that community as well. It shows, I can hear it in your voice, you know, how excited you are about that and how much value you've got from it. Yeah,
I think what was really good as well, so Celia, was that fact that there were sessions for us, for example, exploring wetsuits, trying them on, having conversation with experts. What is it that you want? You know, it's something that I'd never done before, but I could have those conversations, and we did that in a community field. You know, going in to Giant and actually talking about my bike, and then looking at my bike. You know, just I can come and bring it there before my try, and actually know that it would be sorted, and giving just Zooms or face to face on really important topics that you'd probably never thought about, but actually it's building your subject knowledge and having those meaningful conversations with each other, and then learning that has taken place. That is, you know, you don't necessarily get that, do you? So that has been phenomenal. Fun to try.
And I think
phenomenal.
also with women, they have different questions and different things that they want to learn. And if you go online and look at a lot of the triathlon information that's out there, a lot of it is kind of geared towards what men are interested in, because most of the triathletes in the world are men. So a lot of that information is sort of filtered through a male lens rather than through a female lens. So it's really good that you have that and you're getting those questions answered, and you're not having to feel like, oh, should I be asking this or not? You know, it just provides that nice environment for you guys.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to move on because I know we're a little bit pressed for time. So I'll move on to Priya, if that's okay. Hi, Priya.
Hello.
So which triathlon did you do?
So I also did the Dorney Lake Triathlon back in July 16th of this year.
Okay.
I was one of the crazy ones who jumped right into an Olympic distance.
Amazing.
So I was laughing when you guys were commenting on that. Just to reiterate, the swim was 1,500 meters, the cycle was 40K, and the run was 10K.
Okay. Yeah. It's a big thing to take on as your first triathlon. Did you feel nervous when you were?
Very nervous.
Yeah. Okay. So what was it that made you choose Olympic distance then?
Sure. So I think maybe my background might be a little bit different to other women, entering triathlon for the first time. I have been running for a long time. I was a competitive runner back in the US. This accent is from New York. And so back in the US, high school sports are really big. I was a competitive runner, long distance. We went to state championships in New York twice. We had a good developed team. And I even went on to run a little bit in college before being sidelined by injuries, high mileage. It's bound to happen in young girls. But I continued running. I've done 5 New York City marathons, 9 in total, full distance marathons, qualified for Boston. And so I have a very broad, vast, established running base, I'd say.
Yeah.
And then along with that, so I was very into running, much like Annie. And my husband is much more of a cyclist. And so to spend any time together on weekends, we'd go on long cycle rides, like 6 hours, however long the time that we had, daylight that we had on Saturdays while we were in New York and even here. And then I ended up joining Islington Cycling Club because they had a large women's community. Yeah. And that, again, built that cycling base, long cycle rides on the weekends, women's only rides, really enjoyed them, as well as doing women's only Regents Park laps. So that upped my speed. Okay. So those 2 things, those 2 disciplines of the triathlon, I felt that I had a very strong base in. And the sprint almost felt like a little bit little because of that endurance base in cycling and running. But because I was like, I wanted to capture, or I wanted to tackle the Olympic distance in the bike and the run, the swimming was the big hurdle, much like Annie. So in January, just on a whim, it was a life goal of mine to be able to swim further without having to stop. And I couldn't swim 25 meters. I wouldn't drown if you threw me in the deep end of a pool, but couldn't do 25 meters. And I went with my friend who does Ironmans. And she's doing laps up and down. And the coach says to me, in a 25-meter pool, Priya, if you can do halfway, that's good. How embarrassing, but true. But that's just the honest starting point. Okay. And so I stuck with the coach. I found group lessons, the cheapest ones I could find, the better gyms around London. And I just started showing up. I found group lessons at other gyms. And since January, I started working on the technique, because that's all I probably need to do for the next 5 years, it seems like, before upping the endurance. And just have been working on it, doing 10 by 100 meter drills, 10 by 50 drills, and trying to get up that ability to do 1,500 continuous. So that was one hurdle of the swim. The second, much scarier hurdle was the open water part.
Okay.
And unlike Annie, I still have not overcome that hurdle of panic, of entering a new environment and not feeling like panic, dread, oh my God, this is so scary. And I still feel that in pools, in new pools. I still feel that, even though I have the confidence of being able to do 2,000 meters now and without stopping, it's just this weird feeling of, oh, I don't know what's out there. I've never done this before. I've never been here before. So that's something I think I'll still have to work on as we move forward. But yeah, really exciting that I was able to do it.
Yeah, I don't think you're the only one, to be honest. I think that is, you're in an unfamiliar situation. You're bound to feel a little bit of fear, and managing it is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but it's something that you definitely can do. So, and amazing for doing it. It sounds like you had like quite a good level of confidence before you entered then the Olympic distance, with the background in running and because I'm just thinking about my first triathlon, and I remember thinking about doing a triathlon a long time ago, like many years before I actually did one, and I was like, that's loads of training. I couldn't possibly do that. I'll be doing an event for like 1.5 hours and thinking that was a long time. So yeah, everyone starts at different places, don't they? And what might be a challenge for you might not be a challenge for someone else, and that's what's great about it, is that we've all got these different starting points. And
yeah, so it's actually something I've thought about since university. I just had never, the swimming hurdle was such a big mountain to like overcome, to climb up, that I just put it off for so long.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Well, that was amazing that you did it. And what was your kind of biggest win, do you think, from the day?
Sure. So, part of what Bianca asks of you after Fund Her Try UK sponsors you, she says, hey, if you'd like, we'd love a race report. And I've read so many of them from the other women who've participated at various distances. You feel very inspired and get chills after reading some of them. Like, really well done. And so I think because of the journey that I've had, I felt quite emotional after my own triathlon. And writing that race report really felt like a journal entry, almost like putting down those emotions on paper. And it was a really nice way of sharing how, like, the journey that I had, what I told you about the swimming, the panic. And it also helped consolidate some of those thoughts, because those big feelings are sometimes hard to understand, even as adults. And so what I realized was, as an adult, yeah, that's true. You don't really learn new skills or face big challenges as often until you put yourself head in through them. I think Annie also spoke about this. And I think for me, that swim was a bit of a way for me to show myself rather, that I can still grow, I can still attack something head on and really achieve and overcome it, even though that this was terrifying for me. This was panic inducing. And then I also found ways to self-soothe in a way. I realized that if I get into those panicked moments, or if I am just feeling uncertain, it was all about my breath control and using my breath to regulate my emotion in that moment. So at the start of Dorney, I can still picture it. We're heading towards this big circular or this triangular like buoy, like it felt like 20, 50 meters ahead. And everyone's, kicking everyone in the head, trying to get out. And I'm just thinking, it's fine. It's fine. Just take a deep breath in and out. And that's what I'm saying to myself instead of putting my head in the water, forcing myself to start my front crawl. I just told myself 20 more breaths and then we'll get into it. 20 more breaths and we'll get into it. And then I wasn't really sure that I wanted to. So I went 5 strokes front crawl and then popped back up, 5 breaths. and really just ease myself in. And so that was something that, again, I was able to teach myself to calm down, take it easy, take it in.
And so do you think that will affect like other areas of your life as well, learning those techniques?
I think so. I think moving across the Atlantic has been harder than I imagined.
Yeah.
And, you know, emotionally, you know, it feels like you're being displaced away from friends and family. Sometimes the emotions do get big. You know, you feel a bit down about being away, missing big moments. And I think it's like what the breathing does is centers yourself.
Yeah.
And almost makes you feel grateful for the moment. And I think in the same way, even if I wouldn't like have myself do a breathing exercise, I think that centering feels good. And
Definitely.
yeah, and the alternative was also, I've met some amazing women through Front Her Tri. I've met amazing women through Islington Cycling Club. Annie mentioned Mafia Moves. I've met some great people in that in that running club as well. So I've had myself get out there as a result of wanting to get involved in triathlon. And that's another added bonus, I'd say.
Amazing. Oh, that's really good to hear. Yeah, so well done as well, Priya. That's amazing. It sounds like you've kind of worked through a lot of stuff there as well with it. So that's so cool. We're gonna move on to Chloe, just so we can have a chat with everyone. But thank you. I'd love to talk to you all for longer, actually. It's so hard trying to squeeze everyone's in. Go on, Bianca.
Chloe's one of our athletes that we definitely hunted down and recruited. Definitely was.
Oh no, chased her. Okay, Chloe.
Hello.
Hi. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too. It's been absolutely incredible listening to Annie and Priya's stories. I feel like that's inspired me. Just listening to them. I have a slightly different background, I think, from listening to their stories. I only got into sport probably around 5 or 6 years ago, following the diagnosis of my 5th disability or invisible disability. And for me, being told that I shouldn't exert myself too much, I shouldn't go on runs, I shouldn't over exercise, I found myself signing up to a half marathon 4 months later. Having not done anything before, I kind of saw it more as a challenge, and rather than seeing my disabilities as barriers, I see them as let's see
challenges.
How far challenges, how far can I healthily push my body. And I think for me, the past year, so I got COVID for the first time last summer, and it really affected me, and it affected my health. And I have just finished a year at Oxford University. It was my 4th degree, and I was doing a degree in education. I found myself in a bit of a rut, hadn't done a lot of exercise, and thought I needed a new challenge that wasn't another half marathon, and a triathlon came to mind. And I'd never ever thought of it before. For someone who doesn't have a sporting background, going, oh, I think I'm going to do a triathlon next month, is a bit of a bizarre thought. And I'm very fortunate in that my parents threw me into swimming lessons when I was younger. So I've not been swimming for fitness probably since I was about, I don't know, maybe 15 years or so. So I have the swimming kind of foundations, but haven't done too much. I decided I was going to sign up. It was the Henley Triathlon that I did. I did the super sprint. I started nice and easy, and I will put a disclaimer in that it was a pool swim. I haven't quite got over the fear of open water swimming as of yet. But about, I think it was 3-4 weeks before the triathlon was, I started going on Facebook groups, seeing if I could get any secondhand equipment. I didn't have a bike, I didn't have a suit, didn't have anything. And a wonderful woman, who I believe was called Charlotte, on one of the groups reached out and said, have you heard of Fund Her Tri UK? And that was how I first heard about it, and reached out overnight. And Bianca and the team have been nothing but incredible ever since I first reached out and found out about the charity. And not only have they offered that financial support, I know we've all spoken about the financial barrier that triathlons have. You know, I had to buy my first bike, I had to buy my first suit, and big things like this. It's actually become this community where I feel like I've got a group of older sisters that I can either, although I haven't been on the WhatsApp group too much, unfortunately, had a rather busy summer, but it is this incredible community where you also get this emotional, psychological, and also educational support. I know that a couple of weeks ago I was on a call with yourself, and we were talking about menstrual cycle and the effect that has on your training. And so it's Fun to Try just isn't this charity that can help financially with that barrier of first triathlon. It's so much more, and similar to what Annie and Priya said, I can't quite put into words how much it has meant to me, the support that has been offered through the charity. But it was absolutely incredible. It was in July. I'd finished a 90-hour work week, and then for some reason absolutely wasn't feeling the triathlon, but it was everything and more, and I crossed that finish line never being more proud of myself. And the first thing that came to mind was, I think I might sign up to an Ironman next year. I have absolutely been bitten by the bug, and I'm that sort of person where if I'm doing something, I will give it more than 100%. I will put my everything into it.
It's only
so cool.
Triathlons only go one way, you know. You just do one, like do another one of the same size or longer. Like that's like you never like downgrade. No,
never. I will be forever known as a triathlete. I've just moved into a new house and my medal is up on the wall in prime place, so you can see it when you walk through the front door. But no, I've already been looking at, as I said, I've just moved house, so I'm in a new area. I've been looking at triathlon clubs, cycle clubs. I've signed up to a new leisure centre where I'm hoping to get some swimming lessons. So I chose to do breaststroke for the swim because I've not done front crawl in so long, and I couldn't quite manage my breathing along kind of with the fear of doing my first triathlon and having to monitor. So I'm looking at signing up for some swimming lessons. I'm looking at joining a cycling club. It has opened more doors than I thought. It really has.
Yeah, it sounds like you know, as you say, we talk about the financial kind of barriers to getting into the sport, but there's a whole lot more than that, isn't there, that's going on with barriers. It's not just purely financial. There's a lot of things that can kind of hold us back or stop us from having the belief in ourselves. And I think what you've done, Bianca, is provide that as well as everything else, which is amazing. Sorry, Chloe, I just wanted to ask, so what was your kind of biggest barrier, would you say, going in? You said you had a background in swimming. What else was there that kind of held you back from, or was there anything?
Well, I honestly think the biggest barrier was my health. As I said, I had a really difficult year, and the thing is with my disabilities is either one will flare up or they will all flare up. Time, and I'd done that 90-hour work week just beforehand, and I'd been working quite hard before that, and I was
on the edge,
on the edge of the flare up. And I woke up that morning of the triathlon and I felt absolutely awful. Really hard to get out of bed, but the support that's within the group and hearing everyone else successes within the WhatsApp group that we've got for Fun to Try. I was sat in bed reading it that morning, and I thought, I'm going to get through this. This is going to be me. But also on top of the support from Fun to Try, I will say that UK Triathlon were incredibly supportive of my health and my disabilities, and the support that they offered beforehand and at the event, even with me in my panicked state of not knowing what to do or where to go, it being my first triathlon, was so reassuring. And I felt like part of the triathlete community the minute that I got there and got my number and set everything up. They were so helpful with timings and transitions, and they allowed somebody to just stand in the transition area with me in case I did need them at any point. But I think for me, health was the biggest barrier going into it. But since doing that triathlon, it's shown me that actually that was just a barrier that was in my head, and I'm aware that it could have been worse. I could have had my flare up could have been even worse that day, and there might have been a point where maybe I couldn't do it. But it was the support from Fund Her Tri and the group chat and the energy that everybody gives, and all of us athletes within that chat give, that really did help me get through what could have been a difficult barrier on that day.
And were you okay afterwards? Did you have any knock-on effect? Or
weirdly enough, I had nothing at all. Everyone kept messaging me and saying, "Are you making it? You doing, you got DOMS?" And I had nothing. I was on an adrenaline high for about 3 weeks afterwards.
Well, that's really good to hear. That's amazing.
The doctors need to start, prescribing triathlon.
Yeah. It sounds like it, doesn't it? Yeah,
absolutely.
Just listening to obviously we at the committee, we work really hard, and we know that you guys are having great days, but actually hearing it firsthand has been really emotional for me too. So thank you.
Thank you, Bianca, for all that you've done and everything that the team do. Honestly, I wouldn't be in this position, wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for everything that you do.
That's so cool. And it sounds like that's kind of having a knock-on effects on your life as well, like in a wider area, rather than when looking at you completed a triathlon, but what else did that give you, and what other doors has it opened up for you? That's what triathlon can do for you, and especially if you go down the route of long distance stuff, that's oh my god.
So I'm expecting to see Chloe in our mentorship program, because we're going to have our mentorship program is going to be changed a little bit next year. We're going to have mentoring circles. So we're going to have, Olympic circle, a sprint circle, Ironman circle, 70.3. So we're going to pair a number of athletes who are doing that kind of long events, and have 5 or 6 people just going for, something like an Ironman, and then just pair them with an experienced person. So I'm expecting to see Chloe in the program now. That's
amazing.
Count me in and sign me up.
That's great. Okay, so we got a few minutes left. I just wanted to wrap up. Thank you ever so much, guys. It's really nice to hear how you experienced your first triathlon. It kind of brings that feeling back to me as well, of the excitement of it all, and how much I've got from it over the years, and what I've learned, and how it's changed me as a person massively. There's a huge amount of growth that you can get from doing the sport, and you don't have to do Ironman either. You can do smaller events, and you can get a lot from that. If you've got specific fears or barriers or challenges that you need to get over or want to get over, then you can find that environment within any kind of event if you're looking at it through that lens as well. So I think it's amazing that you're all doing that, and you sound like you're looking at it in a very holistic way, not just I want to do a triathlon and complete that. There's a lot more going on here as well, so that's amazing. So Bianca, I just wanted to finish off with you, because I know some people have to jump off the call. If people want to find out about Fund Her Tri, I'm going to put the link to your webpage in the show notes and your social media. But is there anything that you'd like people to know about that we can just finish up with now?
Absolutely. So yes, thank you. If you can just share our website, and obviously people can follow us on social media as well. There are many ways to support Fund Her Tri UK. I know that money is tight, so money donations are not necessarily the only way you can support us. We also have kit donation. We have, like I said, that kind of how you did, Celia, with us, that you provided a webinar, sort of, you can be a mentor, maybe you can be a coach for us. So there are many ways that we actually need some hands to help us in the committee. There's a lot of work on the back. So we have some, we're trying to draft, some few roles that we can have volunteers take on them. For next year, we want to have 100 women. We're definitely want to just duplicate our reach. We want to have 100 new triathletes who are women or non-binary people. So that's our goal, and definitely have something like another 50 in our mentoring program. So 2024 is expected to be a big year for us, which obviously we need a lot of donations for that. But we also, like, if you're a race director and you want to support us, we can have partnerships in there with some discount and kind of, that kind of thing. And brands as well have provided us been super kind in providing also discount for our athletes. So if you're a brand and want to support us that way, that's also appreciated. And we have a project as well next year. We're collaborating with Cycle Sisters UK. They are a charity that brings Muslim women into cycling. So we want to have at least 10 women from that group becoming triathletes next year as well. They have barriers, obviously, in entering the sport. And we want to support them in those barriers. Like, we're trying to target one race and just make all the accommodations with the race organizers to make sure that, they're welcome, like they're removed from that. So watch this space. It's going to be a very exciting project for us as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's where we are.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, thank you so much for talking to me. It'd be great. We might do some follow-up at some point, I'm sure, because there's so much that we could talk about. And it's really nice to meet you all. And, good luck with your next triathlon, whatever you end up doing. Enjoy it and get as much as you can from the experience and learn what you can. But yeah, it's great to meet you guys, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Celia.
No worries. Thank you. Take care, and bye-bye. Thanks for listening today. Have a great day. Take care. Bye for now.